This episode of the Boss Rush Podcast is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our family of podcasts, head over to patreon.com/bossrushmedia or search for us on the Patreon app on your smart device. Thanks for helping us build something better. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Boss Rush Podcast, a great place to play games and be better. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Dirrig, and alongside me, as always, is the PC Muscle Race himself, slumming it with a regular bottle of water, LeRon Dawkins.
What's poppin', everyone?
Oh, that's a fancy bottle, though.
It's a smart water with the alkaline 9+ pH.
Yeah, alkaline water.
Speaking of all that sciencey stuff, the mad pharmacist herself, Stephanie Klimov, is here.
Yes, I'm in the middle of pre-ordering the new Link amiibo. Please do not disturb me.
Do not disturb.
I kind of want that amiibo myself. I don't really collect amiibos like that, and I kind of want it.
Yeah. So, I'll probably get it, just because I have the other ones. But, guys, we have a special guest tonight. Very, very special guest. He is an award-winning composer and technical audio designer. If you are listening on free feeds, you're going to probably get a double dose of him this week because Celeste also did a 1v1 that you can check out very, very soon. Chase Bethea is here.
Hello.
Hello, Chase.
How's it going, everyone?
Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
This is great.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here. So
Thank you.
Before we kind of get into a lot of things, tell people who you are and what you really do and like what games you've worked on, because it's exciting.
Yeah, so I'm Chase Bethea. I'm a professional video game composer and technical audio designer. What this typically means is that I specialize in writing dynamic and interactive music that align to player mechanics. And I usually come up with these ideas myself through a lot of research that I've done, because I've been working in the industry for about 12 years and I've shipped about 21 games in that time. Hopefully by this year I would have shipped 5 more, but we'll see. Game development is very hard, but we're gonna pull it off.
That's awesome.
I really enjoy. It's part of my passion. It's what I love to do day in and day out. And it's very hard work. It's very mentally draining in a good way, because after you get through the journey, there's always a good story and a postmortem to tell. So I am very excited to touch the people's ears, provide them the ear candy, and provide great sonic identity to the projects that I'm able to score.
See, that's one of those things where I feel like the general public would be like, "Oh man, what a, cakewalk of a job. That must be so awesome and easy." The awesome part might be true, but like a lot of hard work and time must go into it. And so I have a lot of respect for that. And at least from the beginning, I feel like any sort of sound, whether it's just like original soundtrack or just sounds like as you're going through the game, w- really help make or break a lot of my experiences in games. And
Absolutely.
don't want to necessarily jump the topic. I know it's not like exactly the same, but for example, when the Grammys finally created its own category for video game or interactive media score, like finally just getting some recognition in the space. So
Yeah.
I'm stoked.
Absolutely. And I'm very excited for that category for many reasons.
So that's cool. So when you mean dynamic, so you mean like, say, we'll use Zelda as an example. It's not like we're going to talk enough about that today.
Perfect example. I got you. We could do this.
So like when you're just like kind of roaming through Hyrule Field, kind of chopping down grass and picking up apples and cooking food, and then you kind of walk into an encounter, is that kind of what you do, where like that music changes into that kind of combat heavy kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. So Breath of the Wild would be a perfect example to go off of. I was just doing a musical analysis of this with some type of introspective deep dive, and before I was really in that lane, my ears were catching on to, number one, feeling like Breath of the Wild might be the first game that presents itself musically as a piano concerto, as that's the entire sound world that you typically would hear. And obviously through different cutscenes, you'll hear different layers and orchestra things. But specifically for the combat, Corey, that you mentioned, is that that there's a specific intro that happens and it has a percussive type of rhythm, and then there's more layers that come in, and then there is a other layer that comes in for all the instruments together. It's called a 2D. Now, one thing that a lot of people miss that I actually caught is that there's little motifs when you hit the actual character. It goes dun dun, and it goes dun. If you're playing, you're usually too much into the combat to notice, but I picked up on it, and it's very so subtle. And those are the dynamic nuances that really tie and give this cohesiveness together for the entire game that I love.
Actually, I know what you're talking about, because even though I haven't played Breath of the Wild myself, I've seen a few people play it. Like, I've been sitting on the couch with them as they play it. And I've noticed those musical tones that you're talking about in combat and stuff like that. And I'm like, and it's one of those magical things that Nintendo kind of does. They pay attention to detail on certain franchises, and Zelda typically is one of those.
Yes.
And it kind of reminded me of, like, back in the days when, like, I was playing, like, the old school Link to the Past, and like how I felt like Link to the Past was like the first Nintendo first party game that was just so musically driven. Like, like you could tell they were flexing the best with the hardware at the time, to push sound, just as well as they push, gameplay and stuff like that. So yeah. But I did notice what you were talking about in Breath of the Wild.
Nice. Yeah, not too many people pick up on that, so good ears.
I love video game music. Back when it was just nothing but chiptune and stuff like that. I love video game music. So as things have as music and composition and sound design has evolved in video games over the past 40 some odd years that I've been a gamer and stuff like that, like I've always just like tuned into it. So yeah, I'm glad somebody like you are here tonight.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you again.
Yeah, so Zelda, like, even the music stuff in Zelda, because like the overworld music is kind of ambient in that game, where like it just, I mean, it's not like Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess, where you're running through and the Zelda theme is like blaring, right? And Breath of the Wild, it's just kind of ambient, and then depending where you are, like it kind of gets louder or has different tones to it. And I think it's cool that like you're the person that does that for games. That's just, I don't know. It's cool. This is awesome.
Thank you.
So what games have you worked on? I saw Aground. Is that what it's called? Aground?
Yeah. Some people say Aground. Some people say Aground. I say Aground. Tomato. So I've worked on Aground. That's the one I've won an award for best soundtrack for. And then I was nominated in the industry in 2016 for my score for I Can't Escape Darkness, which was the sequel to I Can Escape. And then my soundtrack for Qubit Climber was in Destructoid for Noteworthy back in 2013, I believe. It's in Deity Quest and Reclaim Earth, Quest Light Pocket, and I'm trying to go the Super Happy Fun Block, and a couple other more. I've done about Electron Flux, 13 different soundtracks. I've shipped games, but I usually was doing sound design, but I'm no longer a sound designer. I'm just specifying composition and interactive technical audio design. So without the 13 soundtracks, those are the games that mostly like shipped that are of notoriety that I've done the music composition for, that have releases in that respect.
Cool. So Chase, like we said, obviously we're really happy you're here. Our audience is happy you're here too. We have a couple questions before we actually jump into what we've been playing.
Oh, nice.
So our first question comes from Still Sane Shane from our Discord, Shane Kelly. He says, hello Chase, what are your favorite instruments to both create your own music and instruments in others music? What are your favorite games and game soundtracks?
So a 3-part. So we got favorite instruments, favorite games, and favorite game soundtracks, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So as I've been doing a little bit more videos on my YouTube channel, showcasing like behind the scenes of how I create some of the music I do for games and the process that goes into it, because I was doing this typically on my Twitch channel as well. I've now believe to myself that I'm become a multi-instrumentalist. So, for example, I'm scoring a puzzle game that's in Steam Next Fest right now called On the Peril of Parrots, and I'm playing mandolin. I just recorded the penny whistle today.
Ooh.
And then I'm recording a instrument for it's like shakers. They look like this. It's kind of cool. And playing djembe, and I played alto saxophone, which is my first instrument.
Nice.
Piano is my second instrument, which I've studied classical and jazz on. And so yeah, a couple others, pan flute and many more. I really just trying to feel the texture for the music that I'm doing, and I'm having fun while doing it. It's really just tapping into my childhood, as if I was going to be I want to be playing that, and I want to play this, and I want to play that, but I at least now know the professionalism steps of it, and so I know I need to practice at least 30 minutes to an hour before as a warm-up, then come up with something that fits the piece that I'm already starting, and then recording it, and then mixing it and making it happen and putting it into the game to make sure that it all fits and it sounds good and that the developer likes it too. So those are all the many instruments that I'm typically playing on any soundtrack. It just depends. It just depends on what game it is. Favorite games, there are so many that I usually like to mention, which is Turok Battle of the Dinosaurs on Game Boy and Batman Forever, on Shadow of Mordor on PS4, and I like Gun Gauge. I like some import games. My range is all over the place. It's not the typical games that people typically would normally have access to or play, because I've had a very interesting like range of game libraries to have. I actually own 800 physical copy games. I'm a retro game collector. So
Nice.
when
Nice.
we have to play, when I'm talking about games, I'm thinking off the top of my mind, there's some I've always mentioned right off the bat, and then there's not, of course, Beyond Oasis, the
Oh my gosh.
answer.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
my
yeah,
God.
deep cut.
Oh
Beyond
my
yeah,
God.
I got a response for you. I'm like, yes.
Oh,
So
man.
Beyond Oasis was actually on my top favorite, because it's just amazing. I can speed run it in 8 hours. It's actually not that fast. Some people did it in an hour, which is pretty great. But Yuzo Koshiro, who a lot of people know did the music for Streets of Rage, did also that soundtrack too. And I did an analysis of it, and when that article came out, he actually followed me on Twitter. So that's like a badge of honor
my God.
Oh
that I
man.
have to have
my God.
Koshiro-san follow me on Twitter through that article of an analysis from Beyond Oasis that I played as a child. So for many reasons, as it was an answer to A Link to the Past on Super Nintendo, I believe that was the first largest adventure game that was on Sega Genesis. So I love to go on, but that ties into the soundtracks as well. Beyond Oasis being one of them. Echo Defender of the Future being on Dreamcast was composed by Tim Follin. Again, Turok Battle of the Dinosaurs, Alberto Jose Gonzalez, masterful composer for that chiptune 8-bit era. And Castlevania Lords of Shadow, I have to say, is one of those soundtracks as well, by Oscar Araujo. In one of the not usually Michiru Yamane, who did Symphony of the Night, another one of my favorite games, another great soundtrack. But Oscar Araujo really just brought this cinematic, heartfelt, emotional story with not really scoring too many games, if any at all, before then, and just really just touched it and landed it really well with that series.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Ever Oasis, man. Like, so that was one of the few. Like, I was a Genesis kid growing up. I never had a Super Nintendo, so Ever Oasis was like, I had Link's Awakening for Game Boy, and that was kind of like my first introduction to Zelda. But like,
Yes, me
Ever
too.
Oasis was kind of like really the first introduction to Zelda. I mean, it's not even really a Zelda game, but that was like what they were going for, right? And man, Ed and I did a whole Sega Genesis episode for Expansion Pass about 6 months ago, and I think we talked about Ever Oasis for like 25 minutes out of the hour. Because,
Wait, is Ever Oasis the Japanese name for it?
or not Over Oasis. Yeah, no,
Beyond Oasis.
Beyond
Beyond
Oasis.
Oasis.
Oh,
Okay.
gross.
I just did to make
Wow.
sure, because
Sorry.
I
We-
figured that was I figured you're talking about Beyond Oasis, but I just had to be sure.
We did a 3DS episode recently, and Ever Oasis is on my mind. So I'm sorry.
Okay.
Beyond Oasis
Okay.
we were talking about, and man, we probably talked about it for like a half hour.
Easily, right?
Easily,
It's such a great
yeah.
game.
Yeah,
And it's
Beyond Oasis. That was the game I retired my Sega Genesis with. That was the last game I bought, and that was the last game I beat.
Man.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
did the 100 levels too?
Oh my god. I did, because I was that type of gamer back then. I did. Like
You had to.
my gaming battery is not like that now. Like right now I'm currently playing we'll talk about it in a little bit. But I'm currently playing a game, and I'm sitting here like, do I want to like 100% this? Because like I used to 100% this game back before it was remastered. And I'm like, do I want to 100% this, or do I just want to play it, have my fun, and move on?
Yeah, I definitely I understand that. Rygar on PS2, another great game, did that 100 level thing.
Oh,
too.
PS2, yeah.
And I was thinking, this is a little little crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So our next question comes from Josh Martinez. He actually has 2 questions for you. He says, "What is your process for crafting a game soundtrack? What do you take into account when making a track for any given portion level of a game? And what was the game / moment that inspired you to pursue composing in gaming?"
So the process that I usually take is I'm trying to determine what the game is telling me, if there's like a build or if it's a game design document. When it's on words, I usually try to use my imagination as best as I can. And then the next step is to typically look at the art or concept art or reference art of some sort and tie it into whatever the game design document has. Now I'm pretty fortunate to just mostly have builds. The programmers and designers are typically pretty fast to kind of get something like some kind of vertical slice or prototype happening. And that is where the magic for me typically happens the quickest, because then I'm able to hear what the sonic world is going to be in my mind before I'm even writing any type of music or doing type of design. If I'm thinking about any type of dynamic design, I'm pretty much writing it out on index cards or pieces of paper and determining where not only what the story is, but what are the mechanics that I feel are pretty cool because they're already implemented and I'm able to test that out. And then from there, I decide I take my retro experience of the sonic identity from the chipsets from the Sega Genesis, the YM2612, to the Super Nintendo, the SP700, and understanding that those have those identity for sounds, and try to incorporate with that sonic identity for the game that I'm utilizing, which comes into the instrumentation. So I pick certain sample libraries, or I decide that I want to play certain live instruments or hire live musicians to kind of enhance the texture and the sonic world of what that game will be. And then from there, I mostly crafting around what I feel the story is supposed to be told for maybe a level or an area or whatever the goal is in terms of like the mechanics, and make sure first it's a heavy part of the game. It's 50% of the experience, but it also has to be subtle because it's a part of the entire art form in a collaborative. And that is the process that I typically take from that part. The game that inspired me to start in-game composition, it is like a 2-part. I would have to say it's being told that my music sounded like it should be in a video game in 2000, from 2002 to 2009, is been circulating in my mind. I couldn't make the crossover and I didn't know. But it's like 3 things happen. I was working at an internet media company, and someone had said that your music sounds like it belongs in Castle Crashers. And then I looked up Castle Crashers, and then I realized that the music I wrote for this thing that was on my job did sound like that. And then it was thinking, oh, this is not a AAA game. This is like an indie game. How did that happen? So like the cogwheel started to turn. Then I found something called Mugen. And if you're familiar with Mugen, perfect. So those who are not familiar, it's like this open source fighting game engine that you can put any character against another character. Death Star versus Homer Simpson or something crazy, or your favorite anime character JoJo Bizarre Adventure versus Light from Death Notes or anything like the mix up. And so what I had started customizing the characters and then the background, but more importantly, I had implemented my own music into the game by just learning just how to do it on my own. And that was a click of wait a minute, this is really cool. My music is in this game right now, and I did it myself. And the third thing was I remember I unlocked something in God of War 3. It was a orchestra session with a couple of the composers that worked on that game. And in the interview, one of my friends, Gerard Marino, had mentioned that the music could be whatever you want it to be in the world. There's no limitation for game music, and it's not a specific area. Your creativity is abundant. And that was just the light bulb that connected everything. And so I remember making a demo for Gran Turismo on PS1 and uploading it to my YouTube channel. It's still there to this day. I did like captures and put stuff. And when I start to see that, when people say it sounds like it should be in a video game and I see it aligned to the game, I was thinking, oh, well, I've implemented the music. I've been told this is what it is. I've seen that. My creativity is all over the place for the sound. I think this is going to work. So it's kind of like a 3-part thing that happened.
That's very cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned it, because I was going to ask how you like broke into the business, but you practically mentioned it right there.
That's the small iceberg of it. There's a second part to the break-in part, but yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. All right. Well, let's switch gears here. If you want to hear more about Chase's career, there is a 1v1 coming up in the next couple weeks for patrons and free feeds alike. So you'll be able to hear a full hour and 10-minute interview with Celeste and Chase. So that interview was awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
As the person who edited it and listened to it twice to make sure everything was great. It was a great interview. So can't wait for you guys to check that out. Where did Stephanie go? So, all right. So
should we do the thing?
I still see her waveform. So I think
okay.
Right.
Say something real fast, Stephanie. She can't hear us.
She can't hear us.
All right, go ahead and stop the recording and reload.
So before we get into the Nintendo Direct stuff, anybody playing anything cool? Chase, we're going to start with you. You are our esteemed guest tonight. So we'll start with you. And you have games on the dock that I want to hear about.
Okay. Yeah. I'm playing Lock and Chase on Game Boy. I'm actually modded it. It's on my PSP, but I'm going to pick up the Game Boy cartridge
Nice.
up the street because I want to add to that. Have any of you played that one before I dive into it?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So Game Boy being one of my earliest systems that I had owned as a child, this one passed my radar, and I kind of stumbled upon it. I clearly was, like I said, modded it and put it on my PSP, but I like to play new type of games, and so I love puzzle games. And so the 3 big puzzle games are Quirk, Quark, and Kicks. But Lock and Chase was this little like character. You're basically a thief, and you gotta run away from the police. And you pick up little bags of money, but you're also trying to get like the little nodes. So it's like Pac-Man, but you're just getting money and trying to stay away from the police. And eventually there's a big diamond that you want to kind of get, and it's no longer collecting nodes. You have to push this key not into warp points, but get it into a path, then you can get the big diamond. The levels are very odd. I felt like I beat the game, the credits rolled, and then the game continued. So then I got to this other part where I had to do it again, and this game is hard at this typical level. So that's one of the reasons why I want to go get the actual cartridge so that I can play it all the way through. Doesn't seem like it's a very long game to get by, and like maybe a day's worth of playing. Maybe I would be so fair to say like 2 to 3 hours if you're just focused and no interruptions. So that one's pretty cool. And then the other puzzle game that I was doing for now homework, when I got it, it wasn't that, but now there's, like I was saying, there's a game I'm scoring, and I wanted to kind of pick up on the system types that they typically do is Luminous and Luminous Plus. And so Luminous, I think I actually have it right here on PSP. This
Nice.
one is coming to focus. Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
So
Ooh.
there isn't. This one is phenomenal. The soundtrack is great. What this typically does is like a Tetris form, and what I learned is that the creative director who ended up making Tetris Effect made Luminous because he couldn't get the rights of Tetris when he wanted it, so he made Luminous and Luminous Plus. And so it's just like a normal Tetris games. You got to clear the lines, but it's tied to the music. So every time you're changing the nodes to the shapes to align to get your lines up, the music is either going to repeat in a static form, and then once you clear it, it's going to continue on until you get the entire track. And it's brilliant design, masterful, super fun. I can't say more great things about it, and that's what I'm playing right now.
I overheated my PSP with the original Luminous game.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say the same thing. I think I own 6 games for my PSP. I own the two God of War games. I owned Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, Final Fantasy Tactics, and then Luminous. Luminous hardly left my PSP because I'm a huge Tetris fan, and Luminous is like, on that same level, and it's just, oh man, Luminous, so good.
Yeah, I love puzzle games, and I love rhythm games, and like it's the perfect mix. So it was like, and it was like a launch game too. That's the crazy part. It was one of the first games out for the launch of the PSP, and I was like,
oh wow,
like I was definitely a Sony fanboy back in those days. So I picked up PSP, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna have just one game. So I picked up like 4 or 5 games for that first month, and Luminous was literally the first game.
Wow.
Yeah, man, Luminous, awesome, love it.
It seemed to have lost its magic over the decades, though.
Yeah, the Switch version isn't as good as the PSP. It's just not as responsive.
Well, now they got Tetris Effect, and if the creative director did make Tetris Effect as he made Luminous, so you're kind of, if you wanted to just hop over, it's still you kind of probably have that same magic, but I think it's still good to go back to the old school. Right?
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah. Tetris Effect though too. Oh, what a game. Stephanie, you're still playing The Last of Us? Are you? Question. Are you playing? Are you like? I know you're watching the show and you guys are doing your Last of Us review show. Are you playing the game with the show, or are you just kind of playing through the game and wherever you stop, and then you talk about the show?
I mean, I'm trying to play along with the show. Can you hear me? Okay, there you go. I didn't see my sound waves. I was playing along with the show, but I'm playing the game before I see the episode, so it's kind of hard to see where the episode is going to go. And not only that, but Hogwarts Legacy is coming out for me on Friday, so I'm having my window of game time is shrinking. So I kind of like I jumped way ahead to where you play as Ellie and Joel is sick, so I'm getting towards that part, even though we're the TV series hasn't gone that far yet. So I'm kind of pushing it a little bit. I want to finish The Last of Us in another week or two, and just be done with it. And I hate saying that because I don't want to sound like it's a game that I don't care for. I'm absolutely loving the remake. It is more challenging with enemy AI, and it's just gorgeous. And I'm just really thoroughly enjoying the story. Going through the story again. I love the music. So, but after the direct, there might be just some games I might be starting. Well, probably not tonight because I'll take some NyQuil after this and go to bed. But my list of things that I'm playing will be changing soon. I know it's only been The Last of Us for the last few weeks.
That's fine.
All those Game Boy games and Game Boy Advance games.
And Metroid Prime being
re-released. Please
today.
move on. Please move on before I start talking about
it. I'm being very bad right now because because I did what Austin used to do and was only playing one game at a time before I move on. And thanks to that Nintendo Direct, now like there's a game that's being played alongside Dead Space.
Is it another space shooty game?
Yes, it is.
Who would have thought?
Oh man, LeRon, what are you?
Hold
playing?
on. Hold on, Stephanie, real quick. You didn't pre-order you didn't pre-order in advance for Hogwarts Legacy because
It's
huh?
only the deluxe edition.
Yeah, I didn't.
It's only deluxe edition.
I didn't fork
Wait,
the
like
extra money.
as hardcore as you are about this game, I thought this would have been shooing for you for the deluxe edition.
I overspent on video game and video game related items last year. So this year, as part of my New Year's resolution, I need to be very conservative as to the type of editions that I buy. And not everything I buy needs to be an edition.
Then
Also-
that means no Tears of the Kingdom
Yes!
edition anything for you. No.
Nope.
Zelda's
Yes.
the-
Yes.
You buy
Zelda's
the
accessory.
amiibo, you
Yes.
buy the amiibo,
Yes.
the amiibo, and you move on.
No,
Unless it's around your birthday, then you get a little spin to kind of go in between there. So hopefully
No.
something around there.
Zelda, I have part of my wall dedicated to all Zelda. Okay, Zelda, everything.
Zelda trumps all.
Us
Spending.
Trekkies have a word for that. It's called adapt.
Also,
Okay,
Stephanie.
well, I have a word for it, and it's called "Shut Up, LeRon."
Also, Stephanie, the extra $10 for the deluxe edition was not the stuff you get with it. Aside from 3 days early, it was not worth it.
Okay.
So, unless
Oh.
you want to be a bad guy,
So basically, you paid to play for this one.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
LeRon, what are you playing? Dead
Okay.
Space.
Well, I'm still continuing my journey in the Ishimura with Isaac Clarke on Dead Space remake. I'm currently in chapter 8, so I'm 2/3 of the way through the game now. Still loving everything it's done. Nobody. You guys, Corey and Stephanie, you guys haven't actually played Dead Space. But Chase, have you ever played that game?
I've played the game, but I haven't beat it. I played the game, but I haven't beat it.
I'm watching the Let's Play, so
Okay, so I just got through my second encounter with the regenerating necromorph and stuff like that, and like I was kind of hoping they wouldn't do the thing that they did with Mr. X in the Resident Evil remake, which they didn't do technically, but they did change up how when and why you encounter him now, and it's just like, oh my god, like, well, stop playing with my emotions and stuff like that. So it's one of those things. Also, this is not a spoiler alert for any part of the game, but there's 3 times in the game where you get attacked by that large tentacle is going to drag you into a freaking hole. So I got to a room that I remember from my first playthrough that, I'm like, the tentacle's coming and stuff like that, so I was like creep walking, down the hallway because I was like, the tentacle's coming and I need to get ready to start shooting. Well, I made it all the way down to the end of the hall. No tentacle. So I went ahead, I activated the door and then out because the game has like the one camera mode. So out of nowhere, as Isaac's walking through the door, the tentacle comes from behind him and grabs him. It completely freaked me out. So yeah, I'm still having fun. Like it's a nice trip down memory lane. I am no longer worried about the one gun trophy because, like, man, like when I got the contact beam is my favorite weapon across Dead Space 1 and 2. And seeing it has a new primary fire mode. And I was like, man, like I'm just using this gun the rest of the game. So yeah, I will do my one gun trophy when I beat the game and get the new game plus, because I'll also be doing impossible mode when I do new game plus.
That reminded me of a quick story. I remember when I was playtesting at Naughty Dog for Uncharted, and obviously I'm playtesting, and I got through a majority of the game with just taking other enemies' guns. And then so at my exit interview, they asked me, so what was something that annoyed you? And I said, well, the gun stuff didn't like rotate for the UI, so I just punched the other enemies and got their guns. And like, well, wait, that's a bug. And it's like, so you went through the game with just one, like just taking enemies' guns and going through them? Like, yeah, I thought that's how you would have to play the game.
Oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, I commend the one gun trophy.
That's funny. That's awesome. That's so cool. Oh man, so many cool stories you've told in like the last 20 minutes.
And
Oh,
and thanks to that darn Nintendo, like I'm actually playing another game right now. Cause yeah, like Nintendo Direct threw me, and I was not number one. Actually, I'm going to save it for when we talk about Nintendo Direct. But I am playing Metroid Prime Remastered right now. Like as a matter of fact,
it is
I
great.
was playing in the last 45 minutes before we actually had to get on to record the show and stuff like that. So I neglected folding my laundry. You
You
saw
know
I had to scramble to get like something to drink when we were getting to record and all that stuff. Yeah, like I was not prepared because I was
know what's
kind of overjoyed.
you know what's funny, LeRon? I actually plugged my GameCube in about 2 weeks ago, and
To play that game.
I played a little bit of Metroid Prime. I played about 45 minutes of it. And I'm like, man, if they would just make this HD and put it on Switch with normal controls.
You know what? And that's the thing too. Like it actually got an HD treatment. I mean, you can still tell. You can still tell it's you can still tell it's upscaled from the GameCube version, but it looks nice because you guys know me. I'm playing on a freaking 75-inch like 4K television and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It looks nice. It looks better than I remember it, and the control schemes, because now you have like you have a control scheme that actually works for. Where is it? You actually have a control scheme that actually works for this controller now because now you can do dual stick, gameplay and stuff like that. So it plays like a first person shooter, and that was the one thing that annoyed me about the GameCube controller. The GameCube controller itself was not a bad controller, but it annoyed me that you had twin sticks on it, but it didn't let you do a twin stick type of gameplay on it, stuff like that.
Well, that too. Plus, the twin stick stuff, they were still trying to figure out twin stick controllers at that point too, right? Because remember, Resident Evil 4 was also like that.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, so I managed to get off the initial space station and stuff. So I'm actually on Talon 4 now.
It's so cool, man. I'm at $40 too, not bad.
Yeah,
they didn't
not
Nintendo
bad.
bump it.
Yeah, not bad because there was a bit of I heard it was a bit of a shocker today on the on the interwebs about certain other game.
Oh, that Zelda was $70 now.
I was like, here it comes.
Look, I pre-ordered that game like 3 years ago when it was announced on Amazon for $59.99. So it's.
I just want someone to find the Toys R Us or Best Buy ad from '96 or to '99 about N64 games. I just want to see. The way
them
back
$80 games.
I remember. No, I remember staying. I remember working all summer, like just odds and end jobs because I couldn't get like a real job. Because Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was $100 for Nintendo 64.
Yeah. Oh, how about we go back? How about we go back a little bit further? I spent $100 for Chrono Trigger for the Super NES, and that was brand new. That was brand new off the shelf in the store, and in a regular store. That wasn't. I didn't go to some like secondhand dealer.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then remember when Earthbound was in every Toys R Us garbage bin for like $10?
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but I have
my
own little pickup.
And now it's a classic. It's a classic. It's crazy.
Is it?
Well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Don't bring up Earthbound around me. I think it's one of the most overrated games of all time, but that's just me.
I think it's overrated too. But you talk to the Nintendo fans of that era, and
I know
they swear by it.
I know. But I was like, if you swear by it, then why didn't anybody buy it? That's every Nintendo thing though, right? Like everybody's looking for Wii U's now. I'm like, okay, well you should have bought one.
I am not looking for a Wii U.
I'm not looking for a Wii U.
I'm not looking for one. If someone gives me one, the only thing I ask them to do is give me a copy of Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate while they give me a Wii U. That's all I ask.
Yes.
I'll chase Monster Hunter
and Hyrule Warriors, and make sure you get Breath of the Wild on the Wii U because it actually plays good on that mug.
I have my Breath of the Wild for Wii U is still sealed.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, that's everything. That's everything I've been playing. So Corey, you're up.
So I've been playing a little bit of Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon, mostly because I have become friendly with some people over at Yacht Club recently, and it's been really great talking with them.
Yep. Pocket Dungeon is the one that's more mini games than an actual adventure, right?
It's like a puzzle. It's like a puzzle battler is what it is, and you kind of like go through and eliminate blocks to eliminate your opponent. I actually have something I need to write up for the website tomorrow that's that's embargoed until 2 p.m. But actually, this doesn't release until Monday, so I guess I can talk about it. They're releasing a Valentine's Day event in the game on the 13th of February. And so I think that's what the release date said. I didn't read the whole email yet because I was prepping for the show. So so the DLC is cool because like you can fill out a Yacht Club Google Doc and submit an X's name, and then
X.
like an X significant
Woo!
other,
Woo,
and
that's dirty. I can already tell where this is going.
you can submit it, and then they slap that name onto a random boss enemy, and then you can like fight your ex in this DLC that's coming out. So I've been I have that information here. It's going to be up on the website. Go to bossrush.net if you want to read the whole story, see the trailer. I will also be doing a Let's Play Games episode for the YouTube channel if you want to check that out. But yeah, so I've been honing my skills in Pocket Dungeon again to so I don't suck at the DLC when I go play it for this Let's Play. But I also have been playing Hogwarts Legacy. I played the first 4 hours of the game last night, and man, oh my gosh!
Was it?
Uh-oh.
What house are you in? What house are you in?
I'm gonna go through the whole process here. We'll get to the sorting hat because the sorting hat ceremony is awesome. By the way, if you have a Pottermore account or a Harry Potter fan account, you can link it to the game, and it'll put you in the house that you're in on the website. It'll give you your wand, and it'll give you your Patronus charm.
Nice.
So like if you signed up in like 2010 for that thing, it'll give you all that information into your game.
Hey Corey,
yeah.
I'm just gonna let you know right now, my game is performing better than your game is in Metacritic.
That's fine.
Legacy has an 86, Dead Space has an 89.
That's fine.
Woo!
So I went through like the character creating process, which it's not that deep. Like I really like Monster Hunter's character creator. I think Monster Hunter has one of the best character creators, Rise and World.
It makes me feel so good to hear you say something like that.
I mean, it does. I know I don't play that. I know I don't play those games, but I mean, I played like 10 hours of World and a few hours of Rise. But those character creators are like, there's no better character creator than Monster Hunter. Hogwarts Legacy, definitely not that deep. You kind of take like they give you a list of probably like 25 portraits that you can pick from. And then you can kind of modify those portraits with like a facial structure and then hair color. Everything is kind of gender neutral. So like they kind of have, it's funny because with all of the backlash and protests against this game, they're kind of leaning into the opposite of what everybody's protesting against. Right. So that's cool. And they don't use any gender specific pronouns in the game. Everybody or your student is they, their, them.
Oh my god, the TERFs are going to be so mad.
I know. So I was thinking about it this way, like that's a cool thing to include in the game, but also like it also prevents them from like having to re-record lines for gender specific, so it's like half the work. And I mean, whatever, somebody can take that either way, but I just thought that was a really cool kind of like nod to being inclusive and all that stuff.
Actually, I like that take because in all honesty, like, you know, like when we look at the whole battle about pronouns in the first place and everything, you know, like a lot of people, you know, like if you know, like, and I don't know why people don't think about this is like, you know, if someone can't call you a him or a her and stuff like that, a lot of people will naturally just default to like just say they them when you talk about me and stuff like that. People don't realize that we've been doing it, since the beginning of time, and stuff
Mhm.
like that, because like a lot of people would rather not offend by misgendering you in the first place and stuff like that. So I don't know why it's so stupid, the
Yeah.
way people think about this stuff and things like that. So, definitely kudos on the dev team and stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
I've soapboxed this on Crossroads quite a few times and stuff like that. Just because you have a problem with like someone that controls like the intellectual property or something like that, don't punish the people that are developing the things that we like to do, which are video games. Don't punish them by by saying, oh, you're not getting an extended paycheck, once this game is released and stuff like that. That's the dumbest thing to do, because guess what? Eventually we will boycott and kill off all the studios to the point where there's no more video games coming out, or everything's on mobile platforms, and we all know like mobile platforms aren't the ideal place for gamers like us.
I know. So the game opens up, right? You create your character, and then you are just kind of, as soon as you create your character and you hit okay. I didn't know how to model my character. The character creator is up on our YouTube channel right now. If you want to check it out, I kind of went through it, and as soon as you like, I didn't know how to model my character, so I kind of so I just like, you know what, I modeled the character after my wife, and I was like, that looks great. The hair is a little lighter than I thought it was going to be, but whatever. Anyways, as soon as you hit okay and name your character, you just kind of it kind of just like zooms out, and you're in the streets of London with one of your professors and someone that they're trying to figure out. Something's going on, right? That's the premise of the game. You enter Hogwarts as a fifth year transfer student. You don't really know why at first, but you have to get to the sorting hat ceremony. Is kind of like the opening mission, and you're with Professor Fig, who is kind of your mentor in this game. uh, and so the whole opening is really just, first of all, the opening is dark. I kind of forget sometimes how dark Harry Potter is, but the opening of this game is dark. There are, within the first half hour, there are 2 deaths, like horrific deaths. And I don't want to like spoil things, but like, and then you go to, like, it kind of opens similarly to the first Harry Potter uh book slash movie, where like you end up at Gringotts and you're going to a vault, and um then you kind of solve puzzles into the vault, and after these puzzles and you get to where you need to go, you get to Hogwarts. Through this adventure to get to Hogwarts, you lose your wand, your magic stuff, your everything you need, right? So um you do the sorting hat ceremony, which is super cool. You go to classes, which is super cool. I did the first 2 classes for charms and defense against the dark arts. The combat is super intuitive. It's super fun. The movement in this game, sometimes you get into the third person action game and your movement's kind of clunky and slow and, kind of tanky. And you're like, okay, this, whatever. I'll deal with it for 20 or 30 hours, whatever. The movement in this game feels really good, like running and just walking up and down stairs, following people, talking to people. Just the movement will make or break a game for me. And I gotta say the just shooting your wand, doing the spells, using the right trigger to pull up new spells is really cool. The classes are really fun and intuitive. The last thing I did was I went to Hogsmeade to get my supplies, and you go through this kind of like, I'm gonna find my wand, or my wand's gonna find me type thing, and then you go and pick out your potions and your cauldron and just all your supplies. And then the last thing I did, there's a big battle in Hogsmeade, and I don't want to spoil it because it kind of sets up the rest of probably what adventure you're going to go on. But I this game, I was smiling the whole time, and I stayed up way later than I should have last night to because I just kept playing, and I just kept playing, and I just kept playing. And I kept meeting new characters that were interesting. The assistant headmaster is a Weasley.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
The
Nice.
headmaster himself is played by Simon Pegg, which is
Oh
hilarious.
wow.
I
He
Yeah.
love
plays
Simon Pegg.
Yeah,
he
me
plays
too.
this like over the top, super like serious, but his delivery is like it's so over the top serious that it's hilarious. And so you can't help but just laugh every time he speaks because he's trying to be serious and you know it's Simon Pegg and it's
Mhm.
hilarious. Um so yeah, Hogwarts Legacy, man,
It sounds like the game that we've been wanting for since. I remember when WB had it on this website, like 99 or something, whereas and
mhm.
you could play that on
Yeah.
the web browser or something. And this what you're describing sounds like the game that we've been wanting for freaking 20
Yeah.
something years,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
and
it just sounds amazing.
it is. Oh, it's really great. And like the opening missions are they're kind of linear missions, and then it open then it opens up into like an open world and you'll be able to fly and stuff, go where you need to go, and there's a lot of collectibles and stuff. But oh, that's the other cool thing about the collectibles is like it rewards you for like, oh, you found 10 pages to your spell book. Here's a cosmetic reward. You can change like I got this really cool scarf. I got these magic gloves that like prevent like I have a defense buff because I have these cool gloves. Um I have a instead of a worn out cloak, I have a new cloak that like my house cloak, which I'm a Hufflepuff, in case
Mhm.
anybody out there needs to know. Um, so yeah, that was really cool. The world is just it's big, but not too big. But like there when you're going to Hogsmeade, like you go with a classmate, and like based on choices you make previously in the game and kind of how you decide to play depending on those actions is who goes with you, right? And so you walk from the castle to Hogsmeade, and like it seems like that should be like a really far walk, and like it doesn't feel far. And then the things that you can kind of explore and do slightly on the way there makes it feel like, oh well, this isn't just a waste of time to walk here. And so I'm getting to the point where like the world is opening up and I can kind of go wherever I want and do side quests and stuff. But man, even walking through the castle and walking through the courtyard or going into the sorting hat ceremony or like you watching your student kind of sit up on the stool and kind of nervous, like the animation of her like crouching down as they put the sorting hat on because you're not sure it's a talking hat. Nobody's ever put a talking hat on my head before. And I don't know. This game is just it's
Is it
wonderful.
easy to get lost inside Hogwarts?
Um It actually is pretty intuitive. Every kind of class and section is kind of sectioned off into a tower
Okay.
on its own, and it's really good about navigating. There's the magic compass that you get where like you kind of hold down. I think you hold up on the D-pad and you kind of whip your wand out, and it sends this golden trail of where your next quest is, or
Nice.
so that's pretty cool. Um,
Oh man, you're getting me more and more hyped for this. I can't wait till
and like
Friday.
But, like, it was cool because like, I walked out of the castle, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's where Harry started chasing the snitch," and because, or not the snitch, the Remembrall when
Mhm.
Draco threw the Remembrall from, Neville, and you saw Harry chase it, I'm like, "I recognize where I'm at. Oh my gosh, there's the Quidditch pitch over there." It's just n no pun intended, this game is it was magical experience the first 4 hours. It was
Aw.
Now we just need PSVR 2, Hogwarts Legacy 2,
yeah,
and it's a wrap.
yeah. So that's what I've been playing, but this kind of actually leads into a small topic that I want to talk about before we get into the Nintendo Direct is like our perception of licensed games has really changed in the last, I would say, decade or decade plus, right? Like probably starting with something like Arkham Asylum. Um I just I I have such high hopes for the certain games because like licenses are like they're there to draw us in, right? Like sometimes it doesn't pan out like the Avengers, but Guardians of the Galaxy was a wonderful experience, right? Arkham Asylum was a wonderful experience. Fall of Cybertron Transformers game was an awesome game. Like, I kind of really like when these studios are taking these licenses and taking them seriously. And like, I want to know kind of what you think about where we're at with licensed games and how you feel about them, and do they still have that stigma of like, oh, it's a licensed game, stay away? Because like, aside from Avengers, really, and I would argue that Avengers isn't really that bad, they just went the wrong direction with it, but like, what was even the last bad licensed game that you played?
Dick Tracy.
Oh no.
Okay, first
Well,
of all,
Chase, it's
that's
been nice to-
pretty far back.
I had to say it. I'm sorry, I had to say it.
I think you sound like what I was getting ready to say. Like, I kind of still avoid them like they're the plague for the most parts, because I've been burnt by a bunch of badly licensed games and stuff. Star Wars games being those. Those are some of the ones that really like stick out to me. So yeah, I kind of stay away from them because I don't know. Like, I'm one of those people where I don't want the games to be like the stuff that they come off of, but I do want them to be kind of faithful to that stuff, if that makes any sense, stuff like that. So I'm still looking for like a good adaptation. Now, Corey, what I will say though, like, games like Hogwarts Legacy, Marvel's Avengers, and what was the other one you said a moment
Guardians of
ago?
the Galaxy, Batman.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, what I like about those games is like they're using original ideas and storytelling, that's not related to the canon. And that's what makes those games stand out, as good licensed products and stuff like that. Because I think most of the time developers just go all in on trying to retell like stories from the stuff that we've already known and seen, and they just get it wrong, and stuff like that. And that's kind of why I have trust issues with that stuff.
I bought Batman Begins for GameCube. It wasn't good. It was pretty bad.
It was on GameCube. You might try it. You might try the PS2 version or the Xbox version.
The last good licensed game that I remember playing before we got to the day and age before we got to the PS4 and Xbox One era would probably be Batman Returns for the Sega CD.
Oh no.
That one was good because they didn't mire you down in a bunch of the actual like movie content stuff. It was pretty good. And plus, like Sega CD, so they had like real music.
So Batman Returns for the Sega CD, but Batman Forever was on Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo and Game Boy. So
yeah, kind of. It's crazy.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, because I do remember like Sega CD, like like we'd already gotten like I think it was they basically like re-released Batman Returns on Sega CD, and they because like if you play the Sega CD version of that game versus the Sega Genesis version of that game, they're two different games.
Were there two different developers?
I think so.
So that was what I was going to touch on in terms of like how we feel in terms of licensed games, and it depends on the developer and their track record. Corey mentioned Transformers Fall of Cybertron. I think that was Platinum Games. Platinum Games usually does a majority of good licensed games, good development. Very rarely do they go under. Rocksteady took the Batman franchise and made it what it is, and nothing's I think it's going to come close to that. They just got to take Superman now out of the depths of the N64 and the PS2 game and make something out of that.
Whoa, man, that Kryptonite Fog was pretty awesome. And the multiplayer where you're all flying spaceships was also pretty cool.
say what you will. But I'm also thinking about From Russia with Love on the PS2, how like really smooth and fun like that is. Even playing about 20 minutes of the X-Men Origins Wolverine and how cool that is. And it's just I think it just really depends on what developer has it, how well they're doing it, and if they're going to do well. I even remember the Amazing Spider-Man where we're talking about how the story, it related to the movie, but then it's got its own storyline, but it's not, you're not playing the movie, and something I really appreciated about that. And I think that was Beanox who did that before Insomniac took it and went wherever they went with
Oh,
it. But that was
actually,
great.
those Spider-Man games for PS1, those games were fun. I loved those games.
Oh,
I think
the
that was
Never
acclaimed.
it was
I
the
think that was
Neversoft
acclaimed.
one.
Oh, Neversoft. Yeah, it was Neversoft. Yeah.
Yeah.
Neversoft, another class, very classic and well, like highly acclaimed studio, of course, like Tony Hawk series,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Man. Yeah, I just man, you get on this good run, right? Like I mean, even Injustice 2, something like that was super great, but then you get something that like everybody hates, like Gotham Knights just came out, and I'm like, I still can't trust the license game, because out of every like 3 or 4, then there's always that one dud, and you're like, which.
But
Mhm.
follow the
Mhm.
developer, Corey. Follow
I
the
know,
developer. That's
but
what you.
here's the thing. I liked WB Montreal's last game, which was Arkham Origins. I love Arkham Origins, but like, man, I don't know. I don't know.
But there's, as you say that, I don't want to give too much away, but if you again follow the developer, because there's a reason why Gotham Knights is that way, but why you liked Origins. There's a little, I don't want to give too much away, but just follow the developer and you'll see like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know that they were working on a couple projects before what ended up being Gotham Knights, but man, yeah, I know that
Sure.
team has been through development hell and back in a lot of different ways that, so
Muriel.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh
All right.
man, this is
Cool.
such a fun episode.
I know, this is great. All right. So now that we're done with that, man, Hogwarts Legacy. I can't
Wait,
like
what was Stephanie's input for licensed
I don't
games?
know. She's just been kind of listening. I don't know.
No, I have been listening. Also, I'm trying to,
Zelda.
Oh, yes.
no,
Savor the energy.
I am saving energy, and there are times where I feel like I'm going to cough up a lung, and that's usually when I'm really quiet. So I haven't had a lot of experience with licensed games in the olden days, but I do feel like sometimes if certain devs aren't really careful with them or treat them with the respect they deserve, and maybe just rely on the name and the license itself to make them their revenue, that's where you could tell where the quality suffers. I just happen to be
Mhm.
lucky where one of my first few licensed games that I've played was Guardians of the Galaxy, which was a fantastic game. And I believe Hogwarts Legacy is successful in part because they didn't choose to go on the actual Harry Potter timeline. They're doing it a completely different time, and they're focusing on your experience just in
Yeah.
that world.
It's cool because Hogwarts Legacy, like it like everything is modeled and developed from the movies. Like the castle is the castle from the movies, right? Hogsmeade is Hogsmeade from the movie. Like I feel like even though they're not really like quote unquote attaching it to the movies or like specifically the books and stuff, like it feels like it fits with that without actually tying directly in. And I've already seen a few fan theories floating around. So if you're a Harry Potter fan, just beware. There are spoilers everywhere for this game.
Oh,
And it's not even out for everybody yet. So just beware. But they're already kind of making connections to certain characters from here to that timeline. And
Time,
it's just
yeah,
like, I'm like, oh my gosh, just,
yeah,
I don't know.
avoiding that. So,
Anyway,
yeah,
anyways, yeah.
that's really it from me. Sorry.
Well, I guess we'll get to what Stephanie really wants to talk about then.
No, that's not true.
The greatest Nintendo Direct of all time.
Stop mocking me.
No, I'm
I
just kidding. It
thoroughly
was a
enjoyed myself.
great Direct. Like I said,
Was it? Was it?
I say the
LeRon,
Direct is
really?
here's the thing. I say if a Direct has 3 or 4 things that I'm interested in it is a great Direct.
Oh, okay. You know what? If we go by that bar, then this was a great direct for me.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
we set that bar, because I'll just go ahead and say this, the classic bingo card, it has 5 up and 5 down, for you to get a bingo and stuff like that. Every line I had to put 2 free spaces in there, but I got a bingo.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, like, obviously we saw more Tears of the Kingdom, the Metroid Prime remaster. This is for me personally, right? Like Metroid Prime remaster, they kicked it off with Pikmin 4, which I'm a huge Pikmin fan. And then they announced a new Professor Layton game, which I'm all about. So I'm like, okay, this is great. And then obviously the Sea of Stars demo and the Game Boy stuff was like, sure, yeah, Game Boy, yeah, throw that on there. Original Tetris, yeah. Kind of feel bad that I spent so much money on 4 different Tetris games for Switch now, but it's fine.
That's how they get you. They've been getting you since
know.
the
That's
Wii. It never changed.
that's exactly how they get you.
The worst part is I bought Puyo Puyo Tetris 1 and Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 just to play Tetris. So I bought 2 games I don't care about in the same series just to play Tetris.
Listen,
Nintendo loves you.
we just need to get to the bottom of why LeRon seems to be so salty, because for him, he finally got his Advance Wars, okay? He got Metroid, which includes Metroid, was it 2 and Samus Returns or something on the
Oh,
Game
I'm never
Boy.
playing the Game Boy. I'm never playing the Game Boy and Metroid 2 again.
Okay,
Not when we have
well-
Samus Returns for the 3DS.
All this
Where's
stuff,
that
LeRon.
HD remaster? That's all I'm saying.
Advance Wars. You got your Advance Wars, you should be happy. Ugh.
Okay, maybe I am being very cynical about it, because in my opinion, there was no real reason for them to delay the game. But I have my theories, because remember when the game was accidentally released on the eShop last fall, and people were saying, "Oh, this game is playing terribly." I'm not sure if it wasn't optimized because they weren't ready to let it out the gates or whatnot. But like people were saying that. So my real theory is like they did what they did, and said we're delaying it because of this, but what they really meant is that we're delaying it because it needs more polish and stuff like that. So I am happy we finally got a date, and like it's right around the corner. It doesn't. I got to look at April's release list, because I know March is a slam month. I need to see what April's looking like, because that could be pretty terrible that could be a pretty terrible month for me as far as like my bank account goes. But
bank account.
I mean,
And the thing is, I had my budget all planned out. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get Fire Emblem, and then February is gonna be kind of busy because I want to get Hogwarts Legacy, but also the Destiny 2 expansion comes out, and I'm gonna be all up in that at the end of February. And then I'm like, okay, well, March is kind of soft now, so I can kind of take March off or whatever. I know Star Wars is coming out, but like, I'm like, I'd probably wait for that. April, I'm like, maybe I'll pick up some games that I missed early on because they'll be on a sale in April by then. And then Zelda is going to take up like 2 months of my time. No, look, Nintendo had to drop Metroid Prime today. They dropped something else today too that was pretty big. The Sea of Stars demo today, all in the same week as Hogwarts. Like, come on, guys, I gotta record 3 podcasts today. I gotta record 2 tomorrow. I gotta play more Hogwarts Legacy. I'm probably gonna skip Nintendo Power Block this weekend because I want to be ready for book club on next Friday, right? Like,
sounds like you're taking a vacation.
Yeah, I would like to, and
that's what it sounds like.
I'm like, why do you got to do this this week, man? You couldn't have just like pushed it a week so I could have like at least gotten like 5 or 6 hours of Hogwarts Legacy in. But
to go back to what Stephanie is basically like grinding me about. Basically, the problem I have with a lot of these Nintendo Directs is like they're not always fun for me, because like like I don't know, like maybe I'm just that old man that's always screaming get off my lawn or whatnot. But I look at social media when these Nintendo Directs happen, and everybody is just like, oh my god this, oh my god that, and I'm sitting there like, man, these are games I'm not gonna play except for 3 games they mentioned today. I kind of, there's a part of me that kind of wants to be upswept in all the hype around Nintendo games. Like to quote my mother, from back in the day, they're Nintendo games. But the thing is, like, I'm not Nintendo's audience, and so like Nintendo's a hard sell for me. If I was one of the people that Nintendo was banking on to be an investor, they would have already been out of business.
Oh man,
or they would have had to change their business practices for the type of gamer that I am, stuff like that.
I'm actually shocked that the Metroid Prime remaster was announced today.
And they dropped it day and date. It was crazy.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, like I was shocked that they actually announced it and dropped it today, because like Nintendo already has their remaster scheduled for February that they drop every year. It's the dumb Kirby game. Like, sorry.
Which, by the way, is this like the fourth Kirby game in a year that they released?
Just about.
In a year's time?
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Stephanie. You know more about Kirby than I do.
Well, they had the Forgotten Land, some sort of buffet thingamabob. Then this one. Am I missing the fourth one?
There was a Kirby Battle Royale free-to-play game that they released last summer.
Free-to-play.
And isn't there a Kirby mobile game that somebody slipped through the cracks that's coming real soon too?
I don't know, probably.
Yeah, the next Nintendo like mobile thing is a Kirby game.
Great. I bet it's like Flappy Bird. I bet that's all it is Flappy Bird, but it's Kirby. Flappy Kirby. Oh, that's the worst. I hate that so much.
So I guess let's do the rundown of this direct, because
rundown. Can we just?
We don't have to do a full rundown.
Yeah, because that's going to take forever. And
well, let me ask you this, Corey, because I saw this trailer and I was like, man, Corey's going to play this game, Disney Illusion Island.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a 2D Mario game. I'll probably play it. Although the Disney thing that got me more excited was the Disney Dreamlight Valley update with the Lion King.
Yo, why are all the characters sparkly? What is up with that?
It's so the sparkling stuff is when you complete quests for them and you're bringing the magic back to the island as you destroy, like you're bringing the Dreamlight back to the island, and all the Disney characters, like they all live on the island, but they don't remember that they live on the island, and they're stuck in their own different realms, which is like the movies. Like there's like you go to, in the Toy Story realm, you go to, I hate that I'm saying this because it makes me feel old. You're going to Bonnie's room and you have to like do quests for Buzz Lightyear and Woody, right? And you have to like clean up Bonnie's room and find her like origami farm animals and stuff. And then like once you complete their tasks, you invite them to come back to the island. And the more characters you collect for your island, the less gooey, purple, spiky things, I forget what they call it. It's like the bad stuff that's taken over the island. But also, you got to play this game where like you don't want too many characters on your island at once, because when you harvest the purple spiky things, it gives you coins, which then you can turn around and spend to upgrade your inventory, build your house, buy better farming stuff, like that kind of thing. So I don't know. Disney Dreamlight Valley though, amazing. The February update comes on the 16th, and it's bringing Encanto to the island. It's bringing Olaf to the island. So I'm very excited for that. Disney Dreamlight Valley is my Animal Crossing. So also I signed up for the cloud save, so I can play it on my Switch in bed, or I can play it on my Xbox on my TV, and it's the same save, which is very nice.
So basically my bingo card got filled because of Metroid Prime. That for sure. The Advance Wars 1 and 2 reboot camp. Thank you, Nintendo. Like finally, like thank you, because like every other direct before now has been just depressing for me. Yeah. What was the other one? There's three of them specifically, and then the bonus of Game Boy Advance. Like this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted for now. I'm kind of peeved that it's behind like the expansion pack. The expansion pack thing. Yeah. But whatever. Because like I'm in a friend's family plan and stuff like that. So what is the other game that
it's funny because that Game Boy stuff actually leaked 2 days ago and nobody believed it.
Oh, did it? What, the Game Boy or the Game Boy Advance stuff?
Both of them leaked like 2 days ago.
See, I knew that I knew the original Game Boy stuff was coming. I knew
Yeah.
that, just because
Well,
I just track like how the fans react to all this stuff, so it was one of those things,
well, it seems like the handhelds are like the last venture into the Switch expansion pass thing, right? Because it seems like they're really doing the remaster thing for GameCube stuff, and
Mhm.
after, right? Because
They're probably going to remaster DS and
well,
3DS stuff.
this Metroid remake tells me that, or remaster tells me that Twilight Princess or Wind Waker are coming next year at the beginning.
Oh, and
Also, this direct
Nintendo gets on my nerves too,
this
because like if I had known the Mario and Luigi was coming to Switch, I would have never bought the 3DS one.
oh my gosh, dude. Well, the 3DS one is way better.
Yeah,
It's got a lot
yeah.
of quality of life stuff to it, but like this direct really screamed to me, "Hey, buy all the play and buy all these cool old games and Zelda and Pikmin, because A, we're either going to have this huge blowout in the summer, or B, we're working on a new console and we are really just trying to churn content out until we can put something out like with the new console." I still think
This
Metroid Prime 4 is going to be a crossover game, kind of like Breath of the Wild was, and I still think Mario Odyssey 2 got pushed to the whatever is next, and it's going to launch with both of those.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this, and I guess this is where like like everybody's going to like just be all up in my mentions and my DMs. Thanks to the trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, I am definitely on the train that Nintendo needs to like get new hardware out, because Tears of the Kingdom does not look like a good game. It's visually striking and stuff like that, but it doesn't look current gen, honestly.
Well, I mean, it looks like a Wii U Switch game, which is exactly what I expected. Also, like, not to be a downer about Zelda specifically,
We're just breaking Stephanie's heart today.
everybody knows I love Breath of the Wild. My it's my favorite game of all time. I spent 250 hours in that game. I found all the Korok seeds. I did all the things. There is something off about this Zelda game that I cannot pinpoint. And I saw like 3 other people say the same thing on Twitter today, people that are big Zelda fans. And I don't know what it is, but I can't pinpoint it, but there is just something about this trailer in particular.
I want to touch on that just briefly. So when Breath of the Wild got announced the very first time, I wasn't excited for this game at all. I wasn't remotely. And there's only 2 games, I think, in the entire Zelda series that I was thinking, this ain't for me. And ironically, those ended up being one of my most favorite Zelda games, which is Wind Waker, and then Breath of the Wild. Something about how they do these trailers or how they present the game isn't where the pull is. The pull is getting your hands on. And so I would be cautious to say, don't look into the trailer. Just play it, because I remember thinking when I got it on Wii U, I said to myself in my mind when I opened it up, I said, if I can't turn on this game and turn it off and come back into it, I'm not playing this game. And whatever I thought that literally, and I went in and I opened and I said, okay, I'm in the little open sanctuary, and then I was like, okay, I'm saving, I'm out. And then I went back in and it was like, well, I'll be damned, I guess this is the end. It was totally the end. But yeah, something about how they do those trailers is not enticing. So
No,
Yeah.
I 100% agree, Chase, because I was expecting more of a story trailer, and I think even Dan from Boss Rush kind of like, oh, this isn't getting me excited. I honestly think, and I know I've kind of made myself look like a overly hyped person, but I just genuinely do think Nintendo's holding back on purpose, because we still don't know what the hell is going on. We don't. We
Yeah, like, whose
literally.
voice was that opened the trailer?
By the way, I did not like that voice. I'm like, is this supposed to be Ganondorf? Because it sounds like a terrible Ganondorf. Just
It sounds like a
sounds.
terrible, like, mid-2000s anime game
Yeah. So I'll be honest
scream
with you. See, I
out.
can say something I don't like. I really did not like that voice. But at the end of that, I'm like, okay, this was gameplay trailer, but we still don't know the true mechanism. We don't know, like, we don't know the is that a dark world? time travel. I think underground, whatever. I think they're holding it close to the chest because it must be a very story heavy game versus where Breath of the Wild was more exploratory and less story driven. So that's why I'm not necessarily getting down on it yet, though I would agree like this is the trailer that we've been waiting for because we've been waiting for information. We're waiting for the hook of the game because the hook of Breath of the Wild was first open world Zelda. And they did, I think, a treehouse where they kind of showed a sampling of how it's open world, and that was the hook. We're missing the hook for Tears of the Kingdom. The reason why I am willing to have faith in is because The Legend of Zelda, next to Mario's the number one franchise, is so beloved to Nintendo. I don't think that they're willing to afford a flop for it. I just don't think they're willing to do that.
Especially especially that stretch after Wind Waker, right? With Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, and like as I love Twilight Princess. I'll defend that game until the day I die. But I know the Zelda community does not like that game.
Well, Nintendo, I would like you to give me a fair shot at playing Twilight Princess because I never played it. So
released on 3
I have a
consoles.
Switch.
You've had your time. Okay, 3 consoles.
What?
It's been released on 3 consoles. You've had enough time. Okay, GameCube, Wii U. Okay.
Okay.
Although it would be nice to have it on Switch. As somebody who's purchased that game 4 times.
Well, Nintendo has a track record of re-releasing games, so you wish.
Well, I like to. Well, you see, that's the cool thing. You see, I love the Switch for the simple reason is portability. You know, even though I play it more in dock mode, like it's the portability. Because like when I go on vacation and stuff, the Switch is always coming with me.
Technically, you can play handheld mode on the Wii U too, LeRon. On that nice 480p screen.
I know.
I loved it.
That my
lost time.
My child's tablet has a better screen on it than that Wii U tablet. Oh, I hate that tablet. Gosh, man, the Wii U.
Right, so,
anyways,
so everybody, what got you guys like really excited?
Hold on, I'm going back to Zelda real quick before we talk about what we're really excited for, because like
okay,
I think the hook. Going back to Stephanie's point, is Breath of the Wild had this hook of being the first open world Zelda and super exploratory and whatever. I think Nintendo is banking on the hook being that this is a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild, and that they've shown things that are intriguing that fans have no idea what's happening, and that's the hook. And I'm buying it day one. You know what, guys? You can shut up about your $70. Guess what? They gave you Metroid Prime for $40. Okay, there's your $10 extra. You can.
Well, I would have been a little outraged. They rolled it out at $60. Honestly, I would have. I am shocked it wasn't $60, but at the same time, if they rolled it out at $60, I'd have been like, really? When there was a Metroid Prime trilogy, at one point that gave you all 3 games,
yeah,
and a $60 package.
Well, that just tells me that all 3 of these games are coming this year.
Yeah.
And they're going to space them out 1 a quarter probably, or I guess 1 every third or whatever.
I'm satisfied because I'll buy them.
I actually think they're going to release 2 and 3 at the same time.
You think?
I think they're going to release them for $40 a piece, or you can buy them as a bundle for $70.
Well, actually, that makes sense because 3 was a direct sequel to 2. Mm-hmm. Like, didn't the events of 3 take place like almost immediately after 2?
Yeah. From what I can remember, yeah. And then they'll pay you to take Other M.
You know what? I will fall on this sword. I will get Other M if they put it on Switch as well. I will fall on that sword.
All right, LeRon, we can go to your
point. I'm telling you, I'm a Metroid fan. I told you.
I know. Gosh, Metroid Dread's so good. By the way, I popped that in the other day for like 20 minutes because it feels so good to play, but I suck at it. Still really good.
Yeah, I told my boyfriend he can officially hold on to my my physical copy that he's borrowed for the last year.
All right, so LeRon, we'll hit your point and then we'll kind of wrap it up because we are kind of running a little long, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So. What was your point? What really got us excited?
What really got you guys excited? It wasn't the Zelda thing, pray tell, right? It wasn't that.
I mean,
was it?
Zelda? I think Zelda's a given. I think everybody's excited for Zelda, even though this trailer wasn't exactly the most exciting thing.
What I did get a charge out of is we actually got a release date. We got a bona fide release date for Tears of the Kingdom.
We got it last time.
We did.
Yes,
We did.
May 12th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
No,
I
it
didn't.
was
I didn't
just
know that.
gameplay trailer, so shows
Uh-huh.
gameplay, and then announcement of collector's edition and the amiibo.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh, shows how much I paid. Shows how much I pay attention.
We know you're not the Nintendo guy in this podcast. We're on.
Well, unlike
yeah,
you, LeRon, I was excited about this direct not just because of Zelda for me, but all the other games that I might not be interested in, but I'm really happy for everyone else.
Oh, don't cop out like that. Come on.
Look
Don't cop out like
at
that.
all these DLCs of games that I'll never play, but I'm excited for everyone else. Splatoon, my son flipped out when he saw that there's going to be DLC, so he's excited for that. For all those JRPG people, Fire Emblem and Xenoblade 3 got DLC. The Octopath Traveler 2, Sea of Stars, stuff like that.
More Mario Kart 8 stuff. Big whoop.
Yeah, big whoop. My son loves Mario Kart, and he was
I
excited
love
for that
Mario
too.
Kart.
I can go wake up my son, and you can poo-poo on all those things that he loves.
No, I don't need another crying child today.
Yeah.
Chase, what were you excited for?
I didn't see it. I'm just going to be transparent.
Whoa.
I was recording music for the game I'm scoring, so I was playing.
Scoop.
Hey, you had priorities. You had priorities.
I forgot. I have it on my watch later. It's up on my screen right now. So
sorry, we
I'll
just
be up to
totally
date,
ruined it for you.
Yeah, we did. It's fine.
Well, no, I'm gonna have my own experience in my own space and free time. Well, go ahead.
No. I got excited real fast because I just realized the fourth thing was the Dead Cells Castlevania expansion stuff. There it goes. There's my four things from this whole thing.
So yeah, just from hearing the three of you talk about it, I love Castlevania. I love Game Boy stuff. So I'm knowing that some things are going to happen there. I saw the trailer for the Tears of the Kingdom, so that's what I was able to talk about. I definitely concur about that whole Ganon voice. I actually wanted to stop it and watch the direct in Japanese to see if there was going to be a different voice or something. That can't be the right voice, or I got to have something else. So there's things to look forward to, and I'm sure as I watch it, there's going to probably be some little parts in there where I'm excited for those things after the fact. But yeah, I didn't watch it. I was working.
That's a good idea, Chase. I think I'm going to look up the Japanese trailer because I really want to get that terrible sound out of my brain.
There were there were 3 GameCube remasters in this, 4 technically, I guess.
Yeah,
with Metroid Prime, Tales of Symphonia, which we knew was coming,
Oh.
but also Bat and Kato's games, that bundle, which I told Shane I would play them, even though they're card games. I actually owned them.
Oh, they are card games.
Yeah.
Well, they're card-based battle RPGs.
Okay.
But I owned them for GameCube, and I don't remember them at all. But anything that Monolith touches, the Xenoblade developers, I will touch back. So
There's something that played called the Etrian Odyssey or something. I've never
Etrian
played.
Odyssey, yeah.
I've never played those games before, but it seems like such a really cool and unique, well, not unique, but cool idea of kind of drawing your own map as you explore, and it's first person.
Mhm.
That's something
Yeah,
that I've caught my eye. Sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say it was cool because because they were DS and 3DS games, you could use the stylus to draw your map, and it was really cool. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I thought you were stopping.
Yep. That was all I wanted to add.
For me, I mean, actually, what? Sorry.
I said there's something for everyone. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. I mean, for me, seeing that Pikmin got a release date and some gameplay, Pikmin 1 is a top 10 game for me of all time. I love Pikmin 1. And the fact that they're going back to one space person, and you can kind of go through and get the different Pikmin, and obviously the introduction of Ice Pikmin and the weird bizarro enemies at night looks weird. It's what, who put Dying Light in my Pikmin? But I'm excited to play Pikmin. 3 was good, but it was kind of disappointing and kind of a little overwhelming, because the joy of Pikmin 1 is that it was its simplicity. And you have one Captain Olimar, you can have up to 99 Pikmin, and they all have different abilities and unique ways to level up, and you find the parts of your spaceship and you leave. That's the joy of and simplicity. And 2 was like a little bit more complicated, but still kind of, you know, not overwhelming. And then when you get to 3, like you gotta, there's 6 different types of Pikmin now, and then you got 3 spacemen, and you gotta like separate all your Pikmin between the 3 spacemen, and you gotta do the separate. And it's just like, oh my gosh, this is too complicated. Although I will say, one of like 3 games that is worth using the Wii Remote Nunchuck on, because it was the only way that you could run, dodge, and throw your Pikmin at the same time. Because you could do the throwing motion with the remote and run with the joystick, and then you could have the gamepad on your lap as a map. So, Pikmin 3 pro tip that you Switch Deluxe owners will never know. Anyways, that's it.
I dig it.
I think we did it. I think that's going to be a wrap. Chase, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was really a pleasure having you on. You are welcome back anytime you want to come back and talk games or music or talk about projects you're working on. Anytime you want to come back, you are welcome.
Thank you. I really appreciate
Indeed.
that.
Yeah, it was
I love
awesome
returning.
getting to know you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to be on and chat with you all and have a really good, fun conversation. It's been a long time since I've done something like this, so it's been really cool and getting to know the 3 of you as well.
You wanna tell people where they can find you and find your work before we get out of here?
Sure. Yeah. So you can find me. I'm mostly active on Twitter nowadays at Chase Bethea. That's Bethea, Bethea. And you can, if you listen to any music that you're interested in, I'm chasebethea.bandcamp.com. Got On the Peril Parrot soundtrack on pre-order. It's a bossa nova style, and so I'm taking it and moving it in a different way. Still dynamic music, and that game is in Steam Next Fest right now, so you can check out the demo and play it with the music that's actually in there. And I love Spotify follows, I love Tidal listens, I love YouTube, I love all of that stuff. So please check that work out if you love video game music that I typically do.
Awesome. Yeah, and we're gonna throw all those links in the show notes so people can have easy access to all that. So there'll also be in the 1v1 interview that's coming up as well. So you guys should listen to that. It's also going to be right here on the Boss Rush podcast feed on the Friday that it comes out. And yeah, you can follow us at Boss Rush Podcast, at Boss Rush Media, and at Boss Rush Network on Twitter. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. LeRon and Stephanie, thank you for your time tonight as well, as always. And until next week, we love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Take care.
The Boss Rush Podcast is a product of Boss Rush Media, LLC, and is recorded from our headquarters in Akron, Ohio. This show is produced, written, and directed by me, Corey Dirrig. My co-hosts are Stephanie Klimov, LeRon Dawkins, and Edward Barnell. You can find Stephanie at Klimov_author on Twitter and Instagram, as well as on the EXPcast. You can find LeRon at Exodus803 on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube, and also on Crossroads, the video game podcast. You can find Edward at ThatRetroCode on Twitter and Instagram, as well as hosting Nintendo Power Block. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at IamCoreyInHD, and find me hosting Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast, and co-hosting Nintendo Power Block. Find the Boss Rush Podcast on all social media platforms at Boss Rush Podcast. You can also follow Boss Rush Media and the Boss Rush Network on all major social media platforms. Join the Boss Rush Network Discord and Facebook groups to interact with other friends and fans. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.